Dustin Poirier just came out, and a cool statement by Dustin, okay? And I'm going to quote him. He said 100% Tony Ferguson deserves the next shot at the title without an argument, end quote. Okay, cool move, and I love it. You got to be really, really, really careful about playing matchmaker for your own career. You just do. Now, what Dustin said was a sincere and candid answer from a hardworking champion who's in the limelight, who understands and respects the sport and understands and respects what Tony Ferguson went through. That's what that was, and he deserves credit for saying that. Problem. When you start controlling and trying to have a hand in your own career and your own matchups on accident, what ends up being interpreted and heard by the fan is that you're looking for an easier fight. Whenever you come out and want to say something like this, which is to say, don't bring up Conor McGregor, Conor doesn't get to step in for this, we go to the right guy, and the right guy's Tony. When you have a past with Conor and you came in with this silver medal, what people are going to interpret in here is, I don't want to fight him. The reason they're going to do that, excuse me, isn't because they're misunderstanding the sportsmanship, the good-heartedness, the competitiveness in Dustin. What they're doing is they're going to assume a fighter is smart enough to control his career. And anytime you're attempting to influence your own career, you want the biggest paycheck in the largest arena against the worst opponent. That's smart, and that's wise. So a fan is going to assume that if you're calling somebody out, that he fits that bill, which in Dustin's case, Dustin is a straight up badass. He will fight anybody and he'll fight him twice. That's not what Dustin did. I'm sharing the other side of it, of how it will be heard and how it will be interpreted, particularly when he's already fought Conor and didn't get the jump on him. People are just going to go, oh, he didn't like that fight and he doesn't want that fight, and he sees something over here that he likes better. Not saying that's what I know what happened. You had a good guy that wanted to follow the rankings. That's not how it's interpreted. You just got to be careful. That's my point to you. If you're calling somebody out and you're in the driver's seat and you're the champion, don't ever call anybody out unless you think you can beat them. That's just dumb. And we don't respect dumb. We just don't. So either keep your mouth shut or follow that rule and call out a guy you know you can get the jump on. If you're champion. And if you do anything else, it's going to be misinterpreted. And your two options are, you're looking for an easy fight or you're not a smart guy. You don't want either of those. So here's what's going on with Tony, right? Just in case anybody hasn't been paying attention, Tony Ferguson was the champion. He had the belt. Now it's the interim champion, but he is supposed to come back and fight the undisputed champion. Okay, great. Fight gets booked. Okay, great. Everything's cool in the gang. Roughly a week before the fight, he essentially gets sabotaged. I mean, I might as well say that. He slips on a cord while doing media. But it was a cord who later ended a fellow employee at that same company's career because he fell on that same cord. I mean, not for nothing. It was really unfortunate what happened. So he loses that opportunity, and then somewhere along the way, he loses the interim belt, and then somewhere along the way, he slides towards the back of the line. Okay, fine. Let's just accept it. That's just what happened. He came climbing out. He came punching and kipping and grappling and spitting and elbowing and cheating and he did whatever he had to do. He got out of it. So when you look at Tony, what in the hell are you going to do with him? He's already fought Cal. I mean, what are you going to do with him? Where are you going to put him if you're not going to put him in for a championship? You need to be very careful about not putting him in with a top 1, 2, or 3 guy because he will hurt them. If you are not an excellent and skilled fighter, Tony Ferguson will hurt them. Now you're being irresponsible. The other side of it is, all the nice things I want to say about Tony, and they're all very true, and I do mean all the nice things you want to say, if you bring in Conor McGregor's resume, it's going to look just as good, and to many observers, it's going to look better. In fairness, this is the sport, so what do? Tony's not the only guy to be put in a bad spot and have to do other fights and wait his turn. He's not the only guy. It's just a little bit more unfair to Tony because he did have that interim championship and he did have a contract signed to fight for the undisputed title. And then something happened that was not his fault. It was outside of his control. So in terms of fairness, in terms of having some compassion and feeling for a guy, I think that we're all there with Tony. I think we're all there. But it's not as simple as all that. When Conor comes back, there is something real that has to be observed. And it's not just talking, it's not just hyping, it's not just ticket sales. This is a guy who won 3 world championships, and people forget that. He won an interim world championship. People forget that. He won the featherweight championship. People don't forget that. He won the lightweight championship. People don't forget that. But they do seem to forget that interim. Conor's a 3-time world champion. 3-time world champion. He then left the sport, went into something he'd never done before, took on a guy who was the greatest to have ever done it, and fought him for 30 minutes without falling down, kicked Floyd Mayweather's ass. And I know how much that upsets you guys. Conor McGregor kicked Floyd Mayweather's ass. Now, Conor got his ass kicked right back. But Conor had never done it before. I mean, not for nothing. If you're just trying to match resumes, you're just trying to look at who did what, and you got to make a decision, and you come down to Conor and Tony, I'm not picking a side here. You guys may stay out of it. But I think we can all agree that's a tough decision to make. That is not cut and dry. You have 2 very impressive mandate of the masses, backing of the media, belt-wearing killers, period. But when the story is told that you only have one, the story is being told inaccurately. You have 2 guys who deserve to be considered.